Good morning, or whatever the hell it is. Welcome to Housing Revolution, Part 1, Chapter 2, Feudalism and Thomas Jefferson. This is the follow-up to yesterday's video, Feudalism and the Founding Fathers' Big Conflict. If you haven't seen that one, I highly recommend it. You watch it first. So a couple of years before the Constitutional Convention, Thomas Jefferson penned a letter to James Madison with some of his thoughts about land. We are going to go over this passage. This letter is in the archives, and I have put a link to the letter in the description below. So let's go through it. Jefferson writes, "Another means of silently lessening the inequality of property is to exempt all from taxation below a certain point and to tax the higher portions of property in geometrical progression as they rise." So without getting into geometric equations, you own a little bit of property, you pay no property tax. The more property you own, the more your property tax rate increases. That rate increases exponentially with each subsequent property you own. So it's not long until the property tax you pay is more than the value of the property itself. This was a means to remove the economic incentive from hoarding land. It would have limited the amount of land one person would want to own. You see, Jefferson already saw the potential for the new feudalism. He saw the potential that we could one day have feudalism not via the crown, nobility, or government, but via private citizen. So he goes on, "Whenever there is in any country uncultivated lands and unemployed poor, it is clear that the laws of property have been so far extended as to violate natural right." So what does he mean by natural right? Well, he then says, "The earth is given as a common stock for man to labor and live on." So in other words, man has the natural right to labor and live on the land. Of course, as long as he is an adult white male. He goes on, "If for the encouragement of industry," okay, wait a second. So a little background. There was a bit of debate going on between Thomas Jefferson and some of the founding fathers as to the direction the new country should go. Should it continue to be an agrarian society as Thomas Jefferson saw fit, or should industry be encouraged as many of the founding fathers envisioned? So Thomas Jefferson, willing to compromise if certain sensible conditions were met, says, "If for the encouragement of industry we allow it to be appropriated, the land, we must take care that other employment be furnished to those excluded from the appropriation. If we do not, the fundamental right to labor the earth returns to the unemployed." So in contemporary English, if we are going to give first dibs of the land to industry, we must make sure that those who are not given land are at least given jobs. And those who don't have employment then have the right to work the land. So he then says, "It is too soon yet in our country to say that every man who cannot find employment, but who can find uncultivated land, shall be at liberty to cultivate it, paying a moderate rent. But it is not too soon to provide by every possible means that as few as possible shall be without a little portion of land. The small landholders are the most precious part of a state." So there he cites the possibility that one day we may have to guarantee that people have jobs or guarantee them the right to work the land, paying unoppressive rents that don't steal away the fruits of their labors. In the meantime, the country should ensure that everyone has a little portion of land. Now, there are always some people out there saying things like, "Well, this is totally irrelevant. We are no longer an agrarian society." Yeah, but last time I actually made the effort to look around, I noticed everyone still needs land to live on. And if you want to have your own business, you still need land to run your business on. Unless you're some TM master or something and have the perpetual float thing all figured out, you still need a little portion of land. Unless your mantra, I think what you have to do is, before you start your mantra, you have to visualize yourself floating and every little detail. And then once you have a real strong visualization of yourself floating, then you have to send it white light. Then, once you've sent it enough white light, you start your TM mantra. And as long as you vividly hold the vision and continue to send it uninterrupted beams of white light, while reciting your mantra, you will float. Unless, of course, it's not perfectly aligned with your highest intention. Okay, so I just pissed off a bunch of my friends there. But seriously, I gotta say, the people running the show, the people at the top, absolutely love all this new age stuff. They love it. They love it when people say things like, I guess I just didn't send pure enough white light to my goals, or I'm just not attracting money into my life. Anytime the repressed and the exhausted are blaming themselves and failing to question the system, the people at the top are so happy, and they are most thankful for the whole new age thing. So there's this quote that's going around, something like, it's everybody's duty to question authority. I think it's falsely attributed to Benjamin Franklin. So, regardless, it's a great quote. But one of the most crucial aspects of questioning authority is questioning the system's authority has put into place. Okay, so let's get this train back on the tracks. So obviously, old TJ, never had a TM mantra, but what is so amazing from the quote we were talking about, like 5 minutes ago now, is his reverence for the land and his view that the land was to be shared, that everyone had a natural right to the land, as long as he was was an adult and was white. But I think about the reverence he did have for the land and his view that the land was a gift to all men. And then when I picture him seeing what's happened to land in this country today, how it's been commodified, cheeseburgerized, financialized, turned into a means of wealth building for those who are controlling the land but not laboring the land, I immediately get this vision of Jesus overturning the tables of the landlords and the real estate investors and the mortgage bankers, saying, "The land was given as a gift to all men, but ye have turned it into a den of thieves." Also noteworthy in this passage is TJ's premonition that a country founded on industry could be a threat to the common man. How could he see that? He was prescient. The other founding fathers were into creating this state of industry, and TJ was like, hang on there, buddy, but not me, baby, I'm too prescient. So, okay, again, my favorite part, just as you were wondering what all this really has to do with housing, is his proposed geometric property tax. If the country had implemented his geometric property tax, our housing system would not be remotely near the dysfunctional mess it is today. The huge real estate corporations never would have come into existence, although, given today's corporation ass-kissing Supreme Court, I guess anything could happen. But under Thomas Jefferson's geometric property tax, depending on the exact formulas used, the amount of land landlords and real estate investors could own would have been limited anywhere from, say, several properties to even none. It would be a totally different world. Many, many more people, maybe even all people, would own the land they live on and have the housing security and the building of equity that come with home ownership. And as we will talk about much more next week when we get into basic economics and our hyperinflationary mortgage system, land and housing costs would be much less because the excess demand created by investors and the allowing of people to own more land than they need for their own personal use would not be present. The demand for land and housing would be much closer to organic demand, which is directly proportional to the number of people alive. Investors bring about a huge increase to demand, which drives prices up. Throw in our hyperinflationary mortgage system, and it's basically feudalism on steroids. And yet another implication is that our taxes would not be so high. Well, how's that? The government, whether local, county, state, or federal, is an employer, a huge employer. Like any business, they have to pay their employees wages high enough that their employees can afford costs of living. The biggest of those costs being housing. So you want to pay lower taxes? Fix our inflated, hyperinflated land and housing system, and you got it. We're going to get into that, all of that, more next week. So on tap for tomorrow, Abraham Lincoln weighs in on how much land one person should be able to own. It's beautiful. Like Thomas Jefferson's geometric property tax, had we implemented Lincoln's ideas, there would be no need for this conversation. That's it for today. Don't forget to lick the hype button, subscribe, and always make sure to hit the No Box Donations tab. It really helps with the YouTube algo, blah, blah, blah. All right, see you tomorrow. Over and out.